Welcome, everybody. I got a little nervous when I left my house in Lenox this morning that it was raining. But then I quickly remembered that Paul O'Brien says that it's always sunny in Sheffield, and he was right again. So my name is Smitty, Pignatelli. Very proud to serve as your state representative for the last 22 years, and it's coming to an end. I've chosen not to run for re-election, but thank you very much. I hope you're applauding not because I'm not running for re-election, but I've really enjoyed representing Sheffield all these years. This is like a second home to me, and Paul O'Brien and I have got to be very good friends, and the things that he and the Historical Society do for this community is really amazing, absolutely amazing. So much of the rich history of America started in Sheffield, Massachusetts, the oldest community in Berkshire County. We all should be very proud of all the work that these folks have done. I'm very honored to be here, but I'd be remiss if I didn't recognize the Sheffield Historical Society. And I know it's off script, Paul, but we're going to do it anyways because you deserve so much credit. But Paul O'Brien, the president, Paul Mulholland, Charlotte Owens, Becky Shop, Robert Brigham, Casey Clow, Isaiah Goey, Dorothy Maffei, Judy Maginus, Kathy Straproli, Jeff Waingro, Elizabeth Wood, the director, James Miller, the archivist, and Aretha Whitehead, the administrator. Let's give them a nice round of applause because none of this would have been possible without their efforts here today. And I'd also like to acknowledge the Sheffield Cemetery Commission, who are several people are here today as well. Thank you for opening your cemetery for this wonderful, beautiful, historical day in beautiful, sunny Sheffield. So congratulations to all of you as well. I'm really so blessed to not only represent you, but to be here today on this special occasion. When Paul and I and our team, we were navigating how to deal with the Elizabeth Freeman statue in the center of the town, the hidden figures of black history, which is American history, was right here in Sheffield and Ashley Falls. It's really pretty unique and special. We had a good go-round trying to get to that point, and it's hard to believe it's over a year ago, 2 years ago, that we actually dedicated the ceremony. We actually raised the money, hire the sculptor, get it installed in 10 months. 10 months because of the team and the belief and the commitment that this was a good thing for Sheffield. And I've always said that black history is American history. But sadly, it's American history that I never learned growing up in the Berkshires, and so many other people did not as well. And that's why I think it's so cool that the kids from the 5th grade class at the Undermountain Elementary School are here today. We need you. It really is the next generation. It's our obligation to bestow these stories and teach these stories for the next generation so that long after we're all gone, it's up to you to keep these traditions alive. So congratulations, and I thank you. And we'll try to keep it brief because I think you have a test this afternoon. So we're going to try to get you back to school quick. But if I could ask you all just to rise for the presentation of the colors from the 54th Massachusetts Volunteer Infantry Regiment.
One, two. March on. March. Colors. Halt. Left. Face.
And if we could please remain standing for the playing of our national anthem.
Preside. Arms.
have the Honor Society from Mount Everett Regional High School to come and lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance. We can all please remain standing.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. And I think that was the Mount Everett Band playing the national anthem, so great job. Thank you.
Right. Face. Forward. March.
1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1.
At this point, I would like to ask a Berkshire native and chaplain of the Massachusetts National Guard, John Smegal, who now lives in Amherst, but appreciate you being here today. Reverend.
Eternal God, who alone rules the destiny of nations, and who has deemed that all men and women should live together in peace. We give you thanks for William Jones, a citizen and a Civil War veteran. We remember that on April 12, 1861, the attack on Fort Sumter marked the official beginning of the American Civil War. After 4 years and the cost of over 600,000 lives, these battles freed millions enslaved. William Jones was joined by his 2 nephews from Pittsfield, contributing to the greatness of our nation. We are grateful for his service and sacrifice. We too work for liberty, that is freedom from oppression within society, against the idea that anyone would be targeted or enslaved without freedom or citizenship. Keep sacred all these sacrifices in our hearts. Keep holy our course and our future, and kindle within us a flame of loyalty, duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, and personal courage. These guide us today. Lord, we pray you to guide us as we listen to you and the soldiers who fought in the Civil War. Especially we remember Ulysses S. Grant, the commanding general during the Civil War and the 18th President of the United States. His slogan when running for president was, "Let us have peace," which was inscribed on his tomb, and echoing his longing for unity, may we say, "Let us have peace." We pray for all service personnel stationed throughout the world today. They continue to defend freedom and liberty for all. Unwavering in devotion to duty, may we never be found wanting in these qualities of spirit and mind, which are able to preserve our homes, the peace of our nation, and the tranquility of the world. In your holy name we pray, amen.
Thank you, Chaplain Goodrich. Excuse me, Chaplain Smegal. It's my pleasure to now introduce Josh Goodrich, who is the Massachusetts 54th Regimental Commander. I have a brief intro. It's a long intro, but we're going to keep it short. Very short. But Josh Goodrich serves on active duty in the Massachusetts Army National Guard. He enlisted as a mortarman in 1992 and was commissioned a second lieutenant through Worcester Polytechnic Institute Army ROTC program in 1999. Throughout his career, Josh has had the privilege of serving with some of the finest soldiers and civilians in the military and is proud to have received several awards that reflect the team's accomplishments. A humble man, clearly, that shares the awards that people go on to earn for themselves and ours. Josh holds a Master of Science Administration, Administrative Studies, Innovation and Technology from Boston University, an MBA from Touro University International, and a BA in French from Worcester State College. A neophyte drummer, which is kind of interesting. He is happily married and the proud father of 2 amazing daughters. Let's give a nice Berkshire welcome to Colonel Josh Goodrich.
Thank you for that introduction. Please be seated. Through our good fortune, in our youth our hearts were touched with fire. it was given to us to learn at the outset that life is a profound and passionate thing. This quote comes from Oliver Wendell Holmes, Massachusetts resident, storied American jurist, and Civil War veteran, on the occasion of Memorial Day, only 19 years after the conclusion of the Great Civil War. Oliver Wendell Holmes' speech was answering the question of why do we keep Memorial Day? As you heard, I am Colonel Josh Goodrich, and I have the honor and the privilege of commanding the 54th Massachusetts Volunteer Regiment. Oliver Wendell Holmes' answer to the question of the importance of Memorial Day rings as true today as it did 140 years ago. In many ways, we carry on this tradition of remembering, and we do so today on this occasion, dedicated to the memory of William Jones of the 54th Massachusetts. The soldiers that you see here today, who represent the 54th Massachusetts, carry on an important legacy. Oliver Wendell Holmes implored the American public not only to remember the sacrifice of the veterans of the Civil War and all those who perished on both sides, but to use it as an inspiration to move us forward as a nation and a people. The soldiers of the 54th Massachusetts during the Civil War are remarkable for the gallantry they displayed on the field of battle, silencing the skeptics with their displays of courage and commitment to their cause. But in a much larger sense, the sense of purpose, the cause for which they fought, to make good on a promise articulated in the Declaration of Independence that all people are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. That promise had gone unfulfilled. And it was in fulfillment of that promise that the soldiers of the 54th took up arms in the cause of liberty for all people. Although the battlefields may differ and causes change over time, the soldiers of the 54th here today represent the commitment to the ideals and fighting for what is right and just. Even today, America and the world is not without its challenges. And it is in this spirit, this hope, we have an optimism that although not perfect, and we can always do better, that we can give a voice to the voiceless, that we can bring action to liberate those who are oppressed in support of causes that are right and just, that we do not shrink from the demands of democracy. It is my privilege to be able to speak here today. I would like to thank all of the people of Sheffield and all of the people that made today possible. I would especially like to thank Mr. Paul O'Brien, who was our primary point of contact, for inviting us to be part of this momentous occasion and bringing us to this beautiful place in the Commonwealth. We are still in Massachusetts, correct? You know, since you have a test, I'll filibuster for a little while. But it's not lost on me that in 2024, with all of our modern conveniences and technology, as I drove here today from my town, a suburb of Worcester in central Mass, which some of my naive colleagues who don't own maps refer to as Western Massachusetts, forget that there is a lot of Massachusetts west of Worcester. And it's not lost on me as I journeyed out here today, as cell phone coverage is sporadic, and radio stations are inaudible as you push the seek button and it just goes on infinitely, that in the 1860s, men such as William Jones not only heard the call to arms, but responded to the call to arms, to which we have all been the great beneficiaries. of their struggle. And it's today that we serve to advance the causes in the spirit of William Jones in the 54th Massachusetts, seeking to make ourselves better despite our differences through civil discourse and peaceful resolution, so that we, like our forebears of great battlefields, can make a better world for ourselves and for those generations that will follow. Another soldier of the 54th Massachusetts, Sergeant Carney, during the Battle of Fort Wagner, where the 54th acquitted themselves bravely and gallantly in the face of adversity, noticed that the color bearer had been grievously wounded. The colors, which you saw on display here today of the 54th, represent the unit, and they are a rallying point and a source of inspiration to perpetuate the fighting spirit of the unit. So upon seeing that the color bearer was grievously wounded, Sergeant Carney, without regard for his own personal safety, advanced to retrieve the colors and return them to his regiment. Many years later, Sergeant Carney was honored for his actions and his bravery that day by receiving the Medal of Honor, our nation's highest award for bravery. Upon returning the colors to the regiment, Sergeant Carney exclaimed, "Boys, the old flag, that flag, never touched the ground." So today, let our hearts be touched with the fire that Oliver Wendell Holmes alluded to. Let us continue the cause that began in such places as Fort Wagner to ensure that as we go on, that flag never touches the ground. Thank you. Forward to glory.
Thank you very much, Colonel. And I just want to remind you, Worcester is really Eastern Mass to us. Amherst, where the chaplain is from, is Central Mass. And you are now sitting in Western Mass. Remember that, Western Mass. But thank you very much for your very generous words and for your service. We all appreciate it. It's now my pleasure to introduce Brigadier General Paul Miner. He serves as the Assistant Adjutant General for the Massachusetts National Guard. Brigadier General Miner served as the chaplain in the 1st Battalion, 181st Infantry Regiment, and the Joint Task Force Guantanamo Bay in 2003 to 2004. He provided chaplain support for the Massachusetts response to Hurricane Katrina in 2005. In 2006, he was deployed with the 3rd Battalion, 126th Aviation Regiment to Kuwait. During that deployment, he served as the Aviation Task Force Chaplain, as well as the Installation Chapel Manager for Camp Behring. He serves All Saints Episcopal Church in Belmont, that's really Eastern Mass, with his wife, the Reverend Cheryl Miner. His daughter is a music teacher who lives in London with her husband and daughter, and Brigadier General Miner's son, John Thomas Miner, is an enlisted member of the Massachusetts National Guard, serving with the 215th Army Band. So thank you very much and welcome to Western Mass.
Thank you very much. As King Henry VIII said to one of his many wives, "I won't keep you long." Often people will say at occasions like this that I'm honored to be here, and in this case, I mean those words because I have a deep sense as a senior military leader that I stand on the shoulders of not only William Jones, but the Jones family and their decades of service, beginning in revolutionary times and well into the 20th century. They have paved the way, and as was indicated, their story is part of the American story. And so I'm grateful that we have come apart today to acknowledge and to celebrate that. I'm so glad that family members are here as well to share part of this great story of a wonderful family. When I say standing on the shoulders, I wonder if William Jones could have imagined a black man standing here as a general officer. Probably, maybe, could have conceived such a thing, that would happen eventually. The National Guard started here in Massachusetts in 1636, and God willing, I'll be retiring in October, and I'll be the first federally recognized black general officer to go into retirement, and that whole history. And we do. Under the Constitution, there is a provision for the state to appoint general officers, and so General Gordon was the first, and then Woody Woodhouse, a member of the Tuskegee Airmen, who's still with us in his 90s. He's Brigadier General Massachusetts, and Andrea Gale Bennett, also serving in that capacity. And so this legacy of service that this family represents is just amazing to me and inspirational. And in the military, they encourage us to be resilient as a critical piece of being able to serve in uniform, to serve in peace and in war. And one of the phrases that we use is hunt the good stuff. And I suspect for the Jones family through those centuries that was part of the work that they did, that they hunt the good stuff. There's a narrative out there that our country is an evil country, conceived in iniquity, and that we're the source of everything bad, not only here in this nation, but in the world. And I could understand, you could decide that would be the view, but I suspect for the Jones family that was not the case, that they hunted the good stuff. Reference was made to the Declaration of Independence by Colonel Goodrich. Those aspirations of that founding generation that was so far from what their actual experience was, and we were able to benefit from that aspiration, those things that they said, this is the kind of people, maybe it's not who we are, but this is who we want to be. And to even express who we want to be is important. And so I encourage us as we gather today to celebrate that you join us in the military in seeking resiliency by hunting the good stuff. Coming to celebrate today is a part of that process, and hearing this wonderful story about an American family that has dedicated itself to service. Thanks to all who helped put on this event today in the town of Sheffield, the Historical Society, Representative Pignatelli, thank you so much for being here, and look forward to hearing more. Thank you.
Thank you very much, General, and we appreciate your service, and we hope you have a long, healthy, happy retirement. Thank you very much. You mentioned about family. Well, we have family members from William Jones here today, and I think that's really pretty unique. I want to acknowledge Laurence Jones, the great-great-grandnephew of William Jones. Thank you very much for being here. And we have the great-great-grandniece of William Jones, Jocelyn Jones Arnold, who will say a few words remembering William Jones.
Good morning. It's an honor to be here today. This is a beautiful town with beautiful history, and I know that I feel so proud to be a part of this community. I'd like to start off by reading the first of the Sheffield results from 1773 that stated, "Resolved that all mankind in a state of nature are equal, free, and independent of each other, and have a right to the undisturbed enjoyment of their lives, their liberty, and property." Today, my brother and I join you to celebrate and honor our beloved great-great-grand-uncle, Civil War veteran William D. Jones. A lifelong Sheffield resident, William bravely enlisted in the 54th Massachusetts Volunteer Infantry in December of 1863 at the age of 45. I'm certain that William's decision to enlist in the 54th was fueled by an innate and unwavering commitment to contribute to our collective American heritage and to claim the rightful American dream promised to him. But beyond that, his contributions to a unified nation where all mankind are equal and free is a testament to his profound love for humanity and his belief in the unalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness for all Americans, regardless of race, religion, or social status. William's family history, as well as my brother's and mine, starts with history of patriotism, I should say, can be traced back as early as 1733 with the birth of his grandfather and my great-great-great-great-grandfather, Jethro Jones. a free African-American tradesman from Leicester, Massachusetts, who put his own life on the line and the potential of future Joneses when he enlisted in the French Indian Wars in 1757. Jethro survived this vicious conflict and went on to fight in the Battle of Bunker Hill in 1775, and then in 1777, also at the age of 45, he joined the 15th Mass Regiment of the Continental Army, led by Colonel Timothy Bigelow. Jethro served 2 3-year terms before being honorably discharged by General Henry Knox at West Point in 1783. During his time in the Revolutionary War, Jethro spent a harsh winter training at Valley Forge, fought in the bloody Battle of Monmouth, where his regiment, under the command of General Lafayette, were one of the last troops remaining on the field when Washington and his reinforcements arrived on the scene. He was also engaged in the Battle of Saratoga, where he was present for the taking of British General John Burgoyne, an event that was recognized as a turning point that shifted the trajectory of the war in favor of the Patriots. Additionally, Jethro is noted as one of the country's first black toolmakers, as he worked under noted master colonial toolmaker Francis Nicholson. Today, Jethro's work is highly regarded and collected by historians, colonial design experts, and antique collectors. In fact, 6 of his handmade wooden planes are part of the Smithsonian's collection at the African American History Museum in Washington, D.C. Jethro died in 1828 at the age of 95. So back to William. Born in Sheffield in April 1818, William D. Jones was one of 8 children born to Hackaliah Jones, a shoemaker, and Marcy Starkweather, his wife. Marcy and Hackaliah were also my great-great-great-grandparents. William and his wife, a farmer and lifelong Sheffield resident, William and his wife, Mary Ann Prince, raised their family on a small farm on the outskirts of town. Upon joining the 54th in 1863, William left behind his wife and their 9 children: Isabella, who was 18, Cybella, who was 16, Harriet, who was 14, Sarah Elizabeth, 13, twins, Irene and Urania, 10, Carrie, age 8, William, 6, and Walter, who was 1. A 10th child, Frank Jones, died in 1861 at the age of 18 months, and we see his grave marker here. William entered a 3-year enlistment on December 8, 1863, and was one of the oldest members of the 54th. The oldest enlistee was 47-year-old Private Henry Craig of Cincinnati, who joined in May of 1863. Sadly, he's lost his life on January 18, 1863, during the Battle of Fort Wagner. We thank him, as well as the regiment's other fallen soldiers, for their bravery, service, and sacrifice. Given the brief family history I spoke of, it may come as no surprise to know that 14 members of my family tree, William included, were members of the 54th Regiment alone. I feel it's important to speak their names, so I'm going to read you the list of these brave Americans. Merrick Fletcher, Samuel S. Jones, who was William's nephew, Justin Milo Duncan, who was married to my Aunt Emma Gilliard, actually 127 years ago today, Sylvester Moores, Jeremiah Bradley, who was married to William's sister Samantha Jones, Levi Bird, Henry E. Jones, Paul Hamilton, Frank Hamilton, Henry Hamilton, Milo Lampman Friedman, who was the first to enlist in the 54th and the husband of William's grandniece, Sophronia Way, Abraham A. Jackson, who was W.E.B. Du Bois's first cousin and was married to William's niece, Sibylla Cooley, and George Jarvis, who was married to William's niece, Grace Michael. Additionally, there were others who were enlisted in the war, but outside of the 54th. They were William's cousin, Henry A. Jones, from the 87th Colored Infantry, Andrew W.S. Johnson of the 64th Colored Infantry, John Gilliard of the 5th Mass Regiment, who is my brother's and my great-great-grandfather, George R.W. Chadwell of the 5th Mass, who was husband of William's niece Sarah Fields, and Wallace Jackson, also a member of the 5th Massachusetts, who was married to William's niece Lucinda Chaplain. Additionally, here's some more information about William and his family. According to the 1820 census, the population of Sheffield was approximately 3,300, of which 1% were African Americans, or 33 residents. As such, William Jones's family of 8 represented 25% of Sheffield's black community. William's nephews, Henry E. Jones and Samuel S. Jones, both 19 years old, also enlisted in the 54th Regiment within weeks of their uncle. In January of 1864, both William and Samuel Jones engaged in battle with the Confederate soldiers at Morris Island in Beaufort, South Carolina, outside Charleston. Both were injured and listed as patients in Beaufort Hospital, where Samuel lost an eye. Apology. I already mentioned Jethro Jones and his service in the Revolutionary War, but William's maternal grandfather, Prince William Starkweather, was also a freed black man, possibly a former slave, who served a year and a half as a footman in the 1st Connecticut Regiment from 1777 to 1778. William's daughter, Carrie Jones, was married by Reverend Samuel Harrison in 1877 in Pittsfield. William's sister, Elizabeth Jones, was married to Ira Burghardt, uncle of W.E.B. Du Bois. William's older brother, and my brothers and there's a lot of greats in this family, my great-great-grandfather? Great-great-great, possibly 3 grandfathers, I'll have to double check that, in 1820 was recognized as the first black farmer in Pittsfield. Chauncey's wife, Elmira Fields, her mother, Catherine Fields, is one of the founders of the Second Congregational Church in Pittsfield. And her cousin was Negro League star and Major League Baseball Hall of Famer Ulysses Franklin Grant. Further, William's nephew Chauncey and Elmira's youngest child, Frank L. Jones, married Catherine B. Gilliard in 1893 at the home of his brother, 54th veteran Samuel Jones. Reverend Samuel Harrison officiated. Catherine's grandfather, Nicholas Gilliard, was a native of Baltimore, Maryland, and a founder of the AME Church alongside Pastor Richard Allen. Her father, John E. Gilliard, was also a Civil War veteran lieutenant from the 5th Massachusetts Regiment, and in 1876 organized the first Black Veterans Celebration along with Sergeant William H. Carney and Reverend Samuel Harrison, both representing the 54th Mass Regiment. Throughout our nation's history, African Americans have tirelessly fought for the opportunity to prove their worth and to contribute to society. Yet even as we show up, fight, and demonstrate our commitment to collective freedom, we continue to face exclusion and marginalization, as if our humanity and dignity hold no value. We must remember that every individual, regardless of their background and/or beliefs, is deserving of the basic human rights of freedom, love, community, and a sense of belonging. The 54th was a regiment known for its courage and determination during the Civil War. The service and sacrifice of these American heroes will never be forgotten. We are grateful for William and the other members of the 54th for their bravery and their contribution for the fight for freedom and equality for all Americans. In joining the 54th, William became part of one of the nation's most formidable and historically significant military units. The 54th is important to our collective American history primarily for the following reasons: their courage and sacrifice. The 54th Volunteer Infantry was one of the first official African American units in the Union Army during the Civil War. These soldiers displayed remarkable bravery and determination, particularly during the brutal assault on Fort Wagner, which made them famous across the country. Their actions proved that black soldiers could be just as effective as white soldiers, and their history is depicted in the 1989 movie Glory, for which Denzel Washington received an Academy Award. They're also known for their pioneering role in racial justice. The 54th's campaign for equal pay, led by Samuel Harrison, signaled a move towards racial justice in the military. Initially, black soldiers were paid nearly half of the pay of their white counterparts, $7 a month versus $13 for white soldiers. However, Samuel Harrison and the 54th's persistent protest helped change that policy and set a precedent for equal treatment of all members of the U.S. military. They're also known for the legacy of the Emancipation Proclamation. Authorized in January 1863 by President Lincoln, the Emancipation Proclamation officially formed the mass volunteer infantry, with help of prominent abolitionists such as Frederick Douglass, whose two sons were also regiment members. The 54th formation and service showcased the capabilities and contributions of African Americans, challenging the social norms and prejudices of the era. They also represented representation and inspiration. The infantry has become a symbol of African American military service and a testament to the resilience of African Americans in the face of adversity. By honoring this regiment, we acknowledge the importance of African American contributions to the United States history and encourage present and future generations to strive for equality, justice, and freedom. Williams is one of many undertold and often lost stories documenting blackness throughout American history. Sharing these stories is a critical component in understanding the true history of our nation and provides insight into the complexity of the country we know today and of the issues that perpetuate systemic inequities and drive social and political division nationwide. These stories are not anomalies. They are numerous, yet untold. However, collectively, they weave together the beautiful, yet challenging tapestry that is the United States. As we reflect on William's story and the stories of countless other African Americans, let us remember that our collective American experience is born of both beauty and pain. His pursuit of a country that values life, liberty, and the equal pursuit of happiness is a vision we must all continue to strive for. In honoring William's legacy, I hope we also remember that each of us has a story to tell, and that is through the telling of our stories that we can build a global community steeped in empathy and our shared humanity. In doing so, I feel that we can heal our nation and gain a deeper, turn the page, understanding of our collective American experience and how we have arrived at this moment in history. To the African American community, I want you to know that your stories matter. Your ancestors' lives matter. Please do not be afraid to learn from whence you came. There is more love to discover in this than you can imagine. We need our stories to be uncovered and shared widely so that America can move forward together and create a future where every living being's humanity and dignity are respected and celebrated. Thank you, Uncle William, for your service, your sacrifice, and for reminding us that the pursuit of a better America is an ongoing journey that we must undertake together. I also would like to just end by giving a special thanks to my friends and who I believe are my family, folks from the Sheffield Historical Society, Paul O'Brien, Jim Miller and his wife Catherine, Aretha Whitehead, Elizabeth Wood, and our professor, and I like to call him my handler. He usually is the one who tells me to wrap it up. And he's here, but I can't hear him tell me to wrap it up. But Dr. Nick Ayeta and his partner Heather. And I also would really like to give a very warm thank you to David Pottle from the Center Cemetery Commission for ensuring that this grass was mowed and that we all can gather here safely, as well as board member Melissa Joyce. I also just want to say that, well, first a special thanks to the person who really is the reason why we are here, and that is the driver that unfortunately fell asleep at the wheel and ran through this post here and knocked over William's gravestone, which is actually what led to the discovery of William and his service. Wherever you are, honestly, no hard feelings. This was the greatest thing you could have ever done. This is the greatest mishap you could have. I also would just like to mention just a story that really truly reflects how I feel about the Sheffield community and how they received me. It was only last July that I was reached out to by Paul and Jim about this project. And as we were on our Zoom call, Paul asked me, "So what does this history mean to you?" And I said, "To be honest with you, I feel like in connecting to this history and these names and these people, I've been connected to a river of love that I never knew existed." No lie. 2 minutes after I said that statement, the electricity went out, and well, up in Sheffield, the electricity went out, and they were cut off of the Zoom call, and I was left with just Nick and I on the call. Said, "What the heck is going on?" And Nick then got a text from Paul saying, "Sorry about that. Our electricity went out, and we're expecting the Housatonic River to flood." So that river of love flows through this town. It flows through me. It flows through each of you. And I thank you all for joining us today.
Wow. Thank you very much. I think the power going out was divine intervention, because I'd like to nominate both of these siblings to be honorary citizens of the town of Sheffield. What do you say? Anybody object? Congratulations. That means no speeding tickets in Sheffield, right, Chief? Thank you very much. That was amazing. And by the power invested in me by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, I'm waiving the test at the school this afternoon, because we all just got educated about this important day. And the person who I think broke the fence, I think they're in plot number 26, you know. But really, that was amazing. And this is just one story of many that we've uncovered over the last few years. And I'm sure there's many, many more all throughout. In my 22 years of driving to the State House several days a week, there's two ways to get there. I can go Storrow Drive, which is the back route, or I can go down the main road and go up Beacon Street on Beacon Hill. I have never once gone Storrow Drive, because I want to drive by the front of that State House under the Golden Dome, where the longest consecutively served Democratic Constitution in the world still exists, the state of Massachusetts. But I also like to drive by the 54th Regiment bronze sculpture that is absolutely gorgeous. And I encourage you all, if you have not seen the movie Glory, it should be mandatory viewing. Because at the end of that movie, when the credits are rolling in front of that statue, it reminds me of the service and sacrifice of so many people that we're now just beginning to learn more about, like William Jones. And I just learned recently that Robert Gould Shaw, who led that regiment, who was also killed in that battle, honeymooned in Lenox, Massachusetts, at the original Ventford Hall. And his wife is buried in the Church of the Hill Cemetery in Lenox as well. So the roots are there again running very deep, and the connection with this regiment and this family are going to be there for a long time. So congratulations and thank you for your beautiful words. Last note, that bronze sculpture, I've always been told, was originally supposed to be inside the State House. But when they got it there, it wouldn't fit through the front door. So they established it across the street from the State House on the Freedom Trail. How appropriate, because that's really what the Civil War was all about freedom and justice and liberty for all. We've come a long way, but we have a long way to go, and it's up to all of us to continue to do that. So at this point, we're going to unveil and have a presentation of the flowers. Thank you. At this point, Chaplain John Smegal will give the benediction, and then we'll have a presentation of the flag.
Lord, we pray for all soldiers, known and unknown. We thank you for this opportunity to share in the dedication to honor, especially today, William Jones, Massachusetts 54th Infantry, Company B. O Lord, guide us in the way of moral responsibility. Enlighten us to make us true believers in morality and justice. Let this day be a day of commemoration and honor to all those who sacrificed in order to give us liberty and our nation's security. Remember us, O Lord, in your mercy. Have compassion upon us. We learn from the past. We do not live in it. Make us a generation of wisdom, discipline, and good faith. We ask your blessing upon this program, and when we depart, grant us the continued fellowship that makes abiding peace. We also pray for all the members of the Massachusetts National Guard who are helping with the state assistance, deploying to our southern border, and even to the Middle East. We pray for all those who serve our nation in the military, enlisted and civilian, those held even captain today. Unite our nation with clarity and purpose of unity. May nothing divide us. Amen.
All right, thank you very much. We're now going to have a presentation of a flag, and we'll play taps. So we can all rise, please. hope I wasn't the only one who got a little emotional. That really hits me personally. I'm actually off to Milton, Massachusetts this afternoon to place a flag on my namesake. The general and I were kind of laughing earlier, how did Smitty get to be part of Pignatelli? But my dad's best friend growing up in Lennox was Smitty, and he was killed in World War II at the age of 19. So as we approach Memorial Day, don't just look at these as headstones. Look at these as people, young men and women, who made the ultimate sacrifice to preserve our freedoms. And this should be year-round, and I'm so happy that this headstone is on the main road. I think it's so important for people to take notice of the service and sacrifice of so many that came before us. So don't let a Memorial Day go by, and hold that flag high and just show your appreciation to all of our veterans. It's not on the front page of the news any longer, as it should be, but the young people that are here today, they were born at a time and only lived in America while this country was at war and is at war. Unrest all over the world. But the service and sacrifice of people like William Jones and Smitty and so many others all across America, we say thank you. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your sacrifice. Thank you for educating us on the value of what people did before us, and to preserve this beautiful day and preserve our freedoms and allow us the opportunity to celebrate what it is to be in America. So thank you all so very much. Thank you, Paul O'Brien and the Sheffield Historical Society, for keeping this alive, keeping these stories alive. And hope I'm not premature to say you're all welcome to join us at the Dan Raymond House.
Actually, right over here.
Oh, right over here. Oh, even better. But really, thank you all so very much. This is American story right here in our hometown. Let's always cherish it and appreciate it. Thank you all so much. God bless.
We're here today to try and recreate a picture that was taken in the late 1890s of the Grand Army of the Republic that included two members of the Mass 54th from Sheffield, William D. Jones and Edward Augustus Crossley. So they took a picture here on Memorial Day, late 1890s, and then went off to a parade. And they were gathering here for a photo opportunity, and we're so happy that they did. And we're able to identify all the people in the picture.